Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon from day one of the Pennine journey. In 1938, Alfred Wainwright, famous fell walker who wrote many books documenting the fells of the Lake District, decided to go on a walk from Settle in North Yorkshire, and he called it the Pennine journey. He set off from Settle and walked north in an anti-clockwise direction as far as Hadrian's Wall. He then headed west along the wall before heading south back to Settle via iconic mountains such as Whernside and Ingleborough and lots of others in between. And that's what Alan and I have started out on today. The Pennine Journey has a wonderful website owned by David and Heather Pitt, and they've done a wonderful job in promoting the Pennine Journey over the last number of years. We are following the route that they have put together, which is based on Alfred Wainwright's route, and I hope that you enjoy the journey that we're putting together. We're going to make 2 videos. It's a 2-week walk, 1 video per week. Come along and see if you like it. I think someone's turned the taps off. Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon from day 4 of the Pennine journey that Alan and I are undertaking in an anti-clockwise route from Settle. We're in Baldersdale, and this is one of the reservoirs in Baldersdale. And for those of you who followed the life of Hannah Hawkswell, you'll know that she lived in Baldersdale, and we'll be very shortly walking through what was her farm and the meadows that are now in pristine condition because she never used any form of chemicals on her land. Since I last spoke to the camera, we left Settle and we camped for our first night at Hull Pot. We had a wonderful wild camp spot there, very peaceful, beautiful views of Pen y Ghent. But then overnight the rain came in and it didn't stop at all on day 2 until the evening. We had to walk, thankfully with the rain behind us, not in front of us, into Upper Wharfdale. We headed down to Yocknthwaite and Hubberholme, picked up the Dales Way for a little bit, and we had a break at the Buck Inn in Buckton before we climbed out of Buckton up and over the hill to Marset. And it was on the climb that the sun came out and the rain more or less went away. But it was a pretty wet day, and it did dampen our spirits a little bit. Certainly we didn't get the views that we hoped for in that part of the Dales. Yesterday it started off showery, but the day improved dramatically as it went on. We walked from our camp spot in Marset, past Semmer Water to Askrigg, had a coffee and cake in Askrigg opposite Scaledale House. And for those of you who remember watching All Creatures Great and Small, the first ever series, the exterior of Scaledale House was used as the veterinary practice in that TV series. From Askrigg we headed up and over the hill to Gunnerside into the Swaledale, walked along the wonderful River Swale towards Meuchar, and from Meuchar we walked up to Keld on the Pennine Way before heading up to Tan Hill Inn, which is reputedly the highest pub in Britain. We camped there for the night. I had a marvellous meal, huge Yorkshire pudding stuffed with brisket, steak and vegetables, mashed potato, gravy. Oh my goodness, it was really good. And we had a game of Yahtzee, which Alan won. I'll get my own back. And we had a really comfortable night at the pub. Today we've been walking from over Sligo Moor. We've done the Bowes Loop because we're following the Pennine journey, not the Pennine Way specifically. There is a loop on the Pennine Way which takes us to Bowes. We've seen Bowes Castle, had a break there, and now we've rejoined the other part of the Pennine Way in Baldersdale. Today we're going to head over to Middleton in Teesdale. We're going to camp there for the night before we head over to Weardale or Teesdale, Weardale and beyond on this route. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Well, good morning, and good morning from day 7 of our Pennine Way adventure and the last day on this particular video. Since I last spoke to the camera in Baldersdale, Alan and I have enjoyed a fantastic route, albeit with extremely cold temperatures at times. It's now the middle of June and the Gulf Stream appears to be dominating the UK's weather. And we've been experiencing very strong northwesterly winds between 25 and 35 miles an hour at times, with temperatures in the valleys around about 6 degrees with a feels like temperature between 2 and 4. So for June it really is very, very cold. Thankfully, when we're bedded down in our tents we are snug and it's not an issue. Just left Hexham, lovely town in Northumberland with an abbey. Place I've been to a few times before now, and I really do like this town. It's a wonderful place to visit, and we've just resupplied in Hexham. But since I last spoke to the camera in Baldersdale, Alan and I stayed in Middleton in Teesdale. We resupplied there, and then we walked along the Upper Tees, passing the wonderful waterfalls of Low Force and High Force on the Pennine Way, a walk that both Alan and I have done in the past. We left the Pennine Way and headed up and over the mountain into Weardale, and as we did so we were walking across some really rough ground and we got hit by quite a wide band of rain, and because of the temperatures were so low it was probably close to freezing up there, and we didn't get too wet but we got very, very cold, and we headed down to Weardale and we camped at a campsite in Dadry Shield. Very pleasant campsite, good facilities, and we had a comfortable stay there. We left Weardale yesterday and had a wonderful day, again cold weather but the views were fantastic, walking out of Weardale up and over the hill on the Weardale Way to Rookhope, and then from Rookhope we ended up walking along a railway line that used to be the highest standard gauge railway line in the UK at Bolt's Law. Now the railway line was so steep there that trains couldn't get up the mountain under their own steam. They had to be hauled up on a cable, and the cable used to help them brake on the way down as well. We followed that railway line for some time, then we crossed the moorland, visiting old mines, old lead mines, before dropping down to Blanchland. And what a beautiful place Blanchland is. Wonderful village, very, very pretty. Had a coffee there and a chocolate bar before heading out over Blanchland Moor through Slaley Forest to our campsite at a farm 4 miles south of Hexham. And this morning we've walked from our campsite into Hexham, visited the famous Wetherspoons, had a very large breakfast, lots of cups of coffee, lots of water, resupplied as I said, and now we're heading up onto Hadrian's Wall. So the rest of this video will be footage of us walking up to and on Hadrian's Wall to our next camp spot, and video 2 will start tomorrow as we start then to head south and on the way back to settle over 7 days or so to get us back to the car after 2 weeks of walking. Hope you're enjoying what we've done so far. Thanks ever so for watching, and we'll see you on the next time.